Well, I guess it's my turn to give some news. I've been kind of keeping this on the DL for a little while, but it's going to be official.
Balla's been waiting for this for 2 weeks. Is it happening right now?
It is.
Live?
This
is awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome aboard. Now that we are officially up and running, welcome everybody to another edition of the Pontoon. I'm Chip Leer, and gathered along for another cruise with some good friends. And let's, if you're new to the Pontoon and wondering what our purpose is here, what we do is we just get together and throw out mostly fishing topics, but other topics come up along the way, and just kind of shoot the breeze and see where it takes us. So. Glad to have everybody on board. This is awesome. So joining us today, we have from Chicago, Illinois, we have professional angler, fishing guru, statistician extraordinaire, John Balla. My introductions are getting better, John.
Yeah, well, the titles.
They're getting longer.
They're longer too.
Shorter.
Yeah. Senior editor at Bassmaster, we got Thomas Allen from Birmingham, Alabama. And we have got our producer extraordinaire from Pillager, Minnesota, Chad Koel.
Close to Chicago, but not quite.
Yeah.
Similar. Yeah.
Proudly displaying his section champs shirt.
I'm sorry. I'm in the football garb today, but that's,
We're gonna come back to that later, but we got a number of things that we want to get back to, and one is Chad had a brush with fame. I'm not going to spill exactly who, what, where, but it is I'd consider an A-list celebrity, an influential individual.
At least right now, yeah, I would
Absolutely.
say I agree with you. Yeah.
So that's the tease for later.
Right.
But first and foremost, today, I mean, we talk tournaments a lot, but what a heck of a first day at the Elite Series at Lake Champlain.
Well, it is, and that lake always seems to produce just impressive numbers of large and smallmouth bass. I don't think that you can really predict which is going to win. If I were to predict, I would say that the largemouth will top the smallmouth. But I think somebody caught a 6+ smallie today, and I think that's Brian Schmidt. We'll have to. I can't confirm whether it's a smallmouth or a largemouth, but it's one of the coolest fisheries in the Northern Hemisphere because of your opportunity to catch a giant on both species.
Yeah, well, somebody just had at St. Lawrence. Who got the 7-pounder? That was didn't somebody
Paul
get
Mueller.
What was it?
Paul Mueller.
Paul Mueller. Yeah, what a donkey.
Yeah.
It was a big fish and on live too, so that's pretty impressive.
If I'm not mistaken, Thomas, I think they said that is the largest smallmouth ever weighed in a Bassmaster Elite event.
Wow.
Probably could be. And, there's not a lot of places you can go where you have a legitimate shot at a fish like that. Obviously, the Great Lakes is about the very best place you can go and do it. But the other place, and this is – I haven't yet to really spend a lot of time there, Pickwick here in Alabama. There's usually a couple fish in or above 8 pounds, around or above 8 pounds caught every year. So that's a big smallmouth bass.
So
Yeah.
run us through the leaderboard there, just because today's over, right? I mean, we're done.
Today way over is done. I'll run you through the top 10, which is actually 11. And there's a 3-way tie for 9th place. See Jamie Hartman in first, Buddy Gross in second. Buddy Gross won at Eufaula earlier this year. Micah Frazier is in third place. I better mention the weights. Jamie Hartman's weight is 22-1. And if you don't know, Jamie Hartman is actually a New York native, so he's kind of in his old stomping grounds. Buddy Gross in second with 21-2. Micah Frazier, 28. Micah won the elite event at the St. Lawrence River last year, so he's also a pretty accomplished smallmouth finesse angler. Seth Fighter, Minnesota's very own, is in fourth place with 20 pounds, 1 ounce. Brock Mosley is in fifth with 19-13, tied with David Mullins with 19-13. Stetson Blaylock, 19-12. Brandon Palaniuk, 19-12. They're tied. No, they got a tiebreaker there. Looks like Stetson is ahead. They have the same weight, but there must have been a big fish difference there. And then 9th through 11th will be Chris Johnson, Paul Mueller, and Brian Schmidt. So I think that actually played out fairly well. My biggest surprise, two of my biggest surprises are actually Buddy Gross and David Mullins. And I shouldn't be surprised, but if I were to have picked other anglers, they wouldn't have been on the list. But they're doing well. So right now you're looking at probably, if the bite holds, that lower to mid 80-pound final weight for 4 days. So it'll be exciting.
How funny it is when they start talking about momentum in bass fishing. You look at some of these guys in the top, the momentum of some of these guys, right? I mean, Chris Johnston, after what he just did last week, he's back up in the top. Paul Mueller finished second. Palaniuk had a great event. Stetson Blaylock has been, historically, he's been doing well up from some of those FLW days. But Brock Mosley, didn't he have a really good tournament or I'm not sure if he did.
2 years ago, he got second place to Kevin Van Dam at St. Lawrence River.
There you go.
And then he may have gone over and done very well at Champlain also. So I'd have to go back and check that. But he generally does pretty well in the north, and he's a Mississippi guy. So, yeah, it's an interesting leaderboard. And, of course, you can't do much with this yet. We've got 3 more days of competition. The one thing that I'd like to point out is Scott Canterbury is in 13th place, and he has been nothing but consistent except for at the St. Lawrence River, where he had a 43rd place, which by his standards, since he's been fishing the elites, is a bomb. But either way, he'll recover from that.
Yeah, and I picked him last week in my fantasy team, and I didn't pick him this week. So
same here.
But this is pretty much playing along. This is almost chalk, right? I mean, no surprise. Hartman, Brian Schmidt, those guys have done really. Palaniuk has always done well there at Champlain. So a lot of that's pretty much chalk. But I agree with you that I was surprised to see Buddy Gross and Mullins do as well as they did. Gross coming off that huge final day victory down in Eufaula was just amazing to watch. And I think he even surprised himself today.
Well, we say surprised, but, Buddy Gross is a grass fisherman, born and raised fishing the Tennessee River, Chickamauga, and really Champlain plays a lot, very similar to a lot of those Tennessee River lakes. And I think that one of the big factors here is you look at the guys that will have found a decent bite that aren't going to have to run 50, 60, 70 miles. If you've ever been to Champlain, it's a giant body of water. In fact, it lays out very similar to Toledo Bend. So if you have a north-south wind, you get some real big waves real fast. So if there is a blow day, in fact, 2 years ago when Aaron Martins won, Seth Feider was leading going into day 3, and that was after a canceled day. And had there been 4 days, I'm confident Seth would have won. And I think Aaron Martins came back from 18th place to win that. Of course, when being the final day, they had the half third day cut field fishing, so he was able to come back from 18th place to win, which was an impressive event. But Seth wants to win an elite event. He's won 2 AOI tournaments, and while that's still a very impressive feat, it's not the whole field. It's not the 4-day cycle. And I know that Seth, personally he wants to win big time. So it's setting up well for him. And I knew if he could catch a largemouth out of the grass, just like he does at Minnetonka, he'll be in this the whole time.
And didn't they reschedule the Cayuga Lake? They announced that today?
Yes, I believe Gunnersville.
Yep.
So we'll have the New York swing was originally going to be a triple back-to-back-to-back. And that would have been Cayuga, St. Lawrence, Champlain. And then coming back in October, we were going to do I'm drawing a blank, Chickamauga and Santee Cooper back-to-back. And so they bumped, I think Gunnersville is starting that triple then. So they'll do Gunnersville. I could be totally wrong. Either way, I know that it's in that time frame. So those 3 tournaments will be all together again. And I think that was a good move.
It was, I was watching midday today live, that event, and I watched Seth, and he essentially went in, caught some fish, and pulled back out and left. And I'm thinking how much different that is than walleye tournaments, right? I mean, just we're thinking that the fish are still going to be there tomorrow and setting up and not wanting to, at least appeared like he didn't want to, he wanted to pull back out, let it kind of refill, so to speak, and lay off spots a little bit. And I thought that's, he's running a marathon, not a sprint, knows that it's 4 days long, knows he's got to poise himself. And what I think is really impressive about that body of water is, or the challenging part is deciding between the whole smallmouth, largemouth angle. Is there, in your experience, is there, can it be dominated by one species over another, or one, I mean, is there weather or anything coming that would force people to go more largemouth fishing, or smallmouth would prevail?
It's hard to say at this point, and the weather looks good. I know that they hit at St. Lawrence last week. They knew that Sunday was going to be a pretty windy day, and since Lake Ontario was in play this time, after they reconfigured the venue, they knew that was going to be an issue, and honestly it cost Paul Mueller. He left early because he was fishing the lake and left early. Chris Johnson, however, stayed out there and managed to pull things together well. But I think that it is a factor because it doesn't take much wind to turn Champlain into a roller coaster. So if we get a northerly type breeze that's in the 10 to 15, it's going to make the south end of the lake hard to get across. And vice versa is the case with the southern lake. But if there is wind, largemouths will probably be the deal.
And just a reminder, everybody, we're obviously, as we're sitting here on Facebook, if you've got a question or you got a topic or you've got something you want to talk about, make sure you just make a comment there, and we'll get to it in short order. You know, the thing that I am most excited is we were about to sit down this week. I'm thinking to myself, it's almost like days of old. There's multiple tournaments going on in multiple locations. There's multiple feeds of information. I'm having difficulty keeping up with it all between all the walleye events, all the bass events. And now John's bringing up, before we went on live, here's bringing up something going on in Saskatchewan that's completely from left field. There's all sorts of things going on. It's great to see.
Isn't it so much better than April?
Well, that's how
we were staring at each other. And, yeah, right. No,
now we got to make a choice.
Right. That's great.
I think the biggest difference is we're able to watch it live on just about all the venues now too, all the different areas of the country, which is really, really cool. There's head-to-head you could watch today, FLW live, there was B.A.S.S Elites live. So
well, there was a whole big long list of people not getting any work done today.
I was going to say,
this might have been the busiest day of fishing all year. I mean, today. I mean, seriously, with the number of tournaments going on, it's arguable. I don't know that factually, of course, but it's certainly fun to see. Hey, just out of curiosity, Walleye Pro Max Wilson ends up in somebody's boat on down in the FLW, and the guy ends up in first place. Is he marshalling down there? What's he doing?
That's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing he just volunteered to be a marshal. I'm guessing.
And ended up in that boat.
Is that what happened?
I don't know. I'm just asking if anybody knows, because all of a sudden I saw him posting. I'm like, well, this is really interesting. I don't know how. I mean, he's a fish head, so to find him in a boat down there working, with bass anglers in one shape or form, I get it, because he's fishing somewhere all the time. So
well, there's a guy lurking in second, Jacob Wheeler, who's been pretty hot as of late. So I'm curious to see how today's weigh-in shakes out.
He won the last two events, hasn't he? He's looking at 3 in a row.
Well, he won. I think he won the. I don't know if he's won the last two. Maybe FLWs at times. I know he won the last super tournament. Right? He won the last super tournament down in Chickamauga, and I don't know if he won the last one before that. Maybe he did. Maybe it was an open. No, I don't even know.
I think that if it's not 3 FLW super tournaments in a row, it's 3 tournaments he's fished in a row. If he were to win this one, so
if we pull up this is the unofficial current live leaderboard. He's struggling a little today though.
Yeah.
Mississippi River will do that to you.
Sure will.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And,
if you click on his name, Chad, you might be able to see his last few tournaments on this. Click on Wheeler's name, you might be able to see what he's done the last few.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty interesting stuff to see. Actually, all these guys complaining about their the pre-fish and then all the limits that were caught. That's what amazes me on that place.
But that place is one of the best bass fisheries in the world, where you can have a tournament of 150 guys and everybody weighs a limit, and there's a 1.5 pound difference between the top 100. Like, that's just such a cool place for that.
Yeah, and really neat. Frog, a lot of these guys they're trying to get a halfway decent limit, and then they're trying to go frog fishing for big ones. And
Yeah.
it's funny to see the different lanes. Like Brent Ayler posted a picture. He's like, geez, should I fish here? And there's like 7 different paths of frogs. He's like, I don't think I'm going to catch much here, because there was 7 different pathways from the previous guy that ran through this spot. So pretty cool fishery. But yeah, you're right. Everyone talks about it. They just love it. The actions. It's obviously it's addicting when you're on a frog bite.
And I've seen some pretty good anglers catch some pretty big walleyes out of that part of the river too.
Oh, no question. Yeah.
Yeah, head-to-head struggle this week. There's no question. They've had a hard time with their 2-pound minimum. They've been on pools 7, 8, and 9, so they're sharing a couple of the pools that the FLW guys are. In fact, you can see them kind of race around behind them. But they struggled this week for whatever reason. There were, not many fish over 2 pounds caught.
I'm a big fan of the format. I love the live format. I love going the whole head-to-head concept and watching these guys fight forward. But this, if I understand it, they go through a period of time where they do enforce this 2-pound minimum, and then they break into, what do they call it, Dink Fest? They go into the Dink Fest thing where you can weigh literally any size walleye. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of fish this big getting weighed in. It just doesn't cut it for me.
And I'm all about head-to-head. I think it's a great format. I think it's, like we talked about, it's kind of it's a little bit of maybe a symbol of what's to come. It's going to show us where things are going to go. I think it's great. I think it gets people interested. Maybe they need to tweak some of that stuff a little bit. I agree. A 2-pound minimum, then 11 o'clock. If neither of the competitors has any weight, they go to a dink fest and any fish is weighed. I saw a guy advance to his next round by weighing in a 3-ounce fish. It was no bigger than my remote control. And so that kind of stuff is a little frustrating to watch, I think. I guess this is just my opinion. Like I said, I love the format. I don't want to bash the guys at all. But considering most places around the U.S. have a 14 or 15-inch minimum, those are about a pound. I see 1 pound minimum would be the best way to go. At least people are catching fish. People watching are seeing people tallying some fish totals, seeing how they're catching them, buying the lures, buying the equipment that they're using to catch it, and learning something. And, Chip, you and I have talked about this stuff about limits before on a professional tour level, where 2 guys, 4 rods, and there's still maybe 30% of the fields are catching limits. So now you've got 1 guy, 2 rods max. Your chances of catching these limits are going to go way down.
Way down.
Way down. So that's just my 2 cents.
And walleye fishing is, there's certain periods of time during the year, walleye fishing is tough enough. It's just that hard, especially come midsummer like we are now. The windows of biting opportunities get pretty narrow. So you gotta capitalize on it when you can. So but you know what? It's also new, so they're going to have to figure some things out. If anytime that you're pushing the envelope and trying to break into new territory, you're going to make some mistakes and have to adjust on the fly. And there's some very smart people involved in making sure that event runs well. And I'm sure they'll figure it out. It'll get figured out. In the meantime, we're all just trying to figure out how the heck Corey Springle catches fish wherever he goes.
Everywhere he goes.
Forwards, backwards, or unsure what he's got going on. But incredible week. I just got back from Oconto on that National Walleye Tour, and the guy to set a new record by beating second place by 17.17. That is schooling him. Absolutely schooling him. Fishing for second.
Yeah.
You should have him on this show right now. That's the voice I want to hear from.
Well, let's do it. I actually just did on Wildside Live with him, which I posted on YouTube and Facebook there. I did a Wildside Live with him post-event, kind of a breakdown of what he was doing to catch those fish. And I went through a lot of the pre-event with John, just trying to figure out how to set that interview up and how to go through the questioning process, because I wanted to make sure that we learned as much as we could. And what I love about Corey Springle is his willingness to literally just share all the information that he learns at every stop along the way. And he tells you what he was doing, where he was doing it, how he was doing it. it's an incredible, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
It's one of the best interviews I've ever seen, especially I've seen that he's done for sure. I mean, he was so insightful, completely transparent. And after you watch it, you're like, boy, haven't really thought about things that way in my whole career. And this guy's 32 years old. So it's incredible to learn from somebody at such a, 10 years into it is just incredible. Kudos to him. He's just a fishy guy. And he's got that, he can teach all kinds of people what he's using, what he looks for, but he's got that extra sixth sense that, it's so hard to teach. And, Thomas, Chad, you guys know people like that in your specific, realm of who that they're just fishy. No matter where they go, they just make decisions that I have no idea where they came up with that decision or why to use this lure in this space. And it's amazing.
I've been fishing very heavily until the days I can barely recall. If I could walk, I was fishing, and I've been a fanatic about it. But I don't have that natural born talent at all. I think that there's something to the elite level anglers, and I'm not talking elite series, but just an elite angler, that they're born with a certain sense, and a lot of them are outstanding hunters. Corey's an example of a guy that can win bass tournaments and win walleye tournaments, and I think that's a rare ability. And there really is a natural born sense, I think, with a lot of these anglers that are able to do that. And honestly, it's beyond explanation. I don't know. It's easy for me when I'm in the boat covering these guys on the water to understand, okay, he's going to throw a crankbait, he's going to catch fish, makes sense, or jig or whatever. They're going to go through the motions. You realize what you're watching really isn't that difficult. It's how they got to that spot. It's how they found that group of fish and their willingness to leave a lesser fish to go catch a bigger fish and have that decision pay off. I don't have that level of decision making. That's why I write about it.
And I disagree a little bit with you, Thomas, from the natural ability standpoint. Let me clarify that, because I think that the natural part is the passion for the sport, right? That I don't know if you can teach the passion, but if somebody's got the passion and the drive, like what Corey, and the more you talk to Corey, and the more I do, the more I think I understand where it's coming from. It's his drive to understand. So he's crediting walleye wins to bass fishing, salmon fishing, teaching him about temperature and how it layers in the Great Lakes, bass fishing about structure and how fish relate to it, and and understanding your electronics and being able to connect what you see in your graph compared to what you actually are seeing in reality. And those two things, I mean, it's that I think that the best of the best have this internal desire to understand. And it isn't, and it's even more so than even competitiveness, where we love to look at, physical athletes that are running or jumping or football players or whatever they are, and they find this inner drive, for the moment from the competition, and that inner drive is all cerebral, right? It's all inside of somebody's head where to present a lure, and that's really impressive to sit back and watch them process that information. You wish you could hook electrodes up to it and go on screen what he's thinking as he's making his decision whether to stay or go.
Yeah. His confidence level is just off the charts too. He's so confident in what he has learned and his whole thought process that it doesn't scare him or take him away or get him thrown off or spun out if he's not finding them for the first couple hours. And I think some of the best fishermen on the planet are able to do that. They learn from one situation to the next. So they make a decision. Okay, they're not here doing this, they're maybe here. And they keep adjusting, adapting, and moving. And they never get spun out. They have very short memories in terms of what they're noticing. And they're always looking at what's ahead of them and interpreting what's ahead of them and making the decisions based on current conditions. I mean, all of us, me included, have been maybe you make a decision based on the past, the history. Well, they were here. I caught them here. But these guys are taking what's in front of them, no matter what it is. Completely different from when they thought what they knew before, and they're able to take what they've learned and somehow come up with this masterpiece on where they're going to fish next and catch them. That's what I think I've noticed.
John, well, I think it was it you or who gave me the chef analogy?
I did. I said, anyone can pick up the menu, but if you hand them all the ingredients, they probably couldn't make a meal if they wanted to. But Corey is able to take all these ingredients of all this information from all these years, and he'll make something out of it. He doesn't have to pick off from the menu like other people might be given. Hey, go to this spot, do this, go that. Here's the lure. He's able to take all these different things and notice the mood of the fish, the water temps, the current, everything, and make something with it. Versus there's a lot of other guys that can't do that. They just can't.
And I don't think you can understate the importance of the way he credits his multi-species background, and he's still a multi-species fisherman, and most of the best guys will tell you that, and I think that's one of those things that crosses over with other sports and other pursuits as well. I mean, you talk to some of the elite athletes in the world, and nowadays everybody seems to specialize, but the best ones will tell you that when they were in high school, they played every sport, and they did all these things because everything crosses over at one time or another.
There's more to life than football?
Well,
not down here, there's not.
Right.
Few things. Yeah, there's a few things. Yeah. Fishing being one of them, right? Yeah. No, it's and as many tournaments as we've covered in the past too. I've always said that all the guys are really good, but there's a certain chunk of them that just have, and John touched on it too, and I think there's no question it exists, and it's that it factor, and that's another thing that goes across the board to other sports. Some guys just have that sense, and Corey is one of those guys where if it's just knowing when to make that S curve when you're trolling or something like that, it's just different from everybody else, and they just have it, And,
well, I think that's one of the funniest things about tournament fishing is that when you go on vacation, right? When you go on vacation, you get up every day and you go fishing, and you just try to kind of meander your day through and go find some fish. Tournament fishermen, for some reason, spend a week long trying to come up with a list of spots that they can return to on day number whatever of 4 or 5, 6, or how many days they're pre-fishing. But come tournament day where they can just rattle off, I'm going to go to spot A and do this, I'm going to go to spot B and do this, and they have this little route, and they forget about the fact that conditions change every day. Or a lot of times we do better when we fish loose, and that's what I think you see the best bass guys do, and you certainly are certainly seeing the best walleye guys do the same thing. You're making decisions based on current conditions.
I think that confidence part of it is such a, the mental part of fishing is so big. All these guys talk about it. It's not being spun out. It's staying confident in what you know, what you've learned, and just having your head clear, eliminating negative thoughts, and just staying on task and keep what's in front of you and make the decisions based on that. The mental part of it, and we've all gone through it. I know Chip, you interview with John Hoyer, he almost says he never lets negative thoughts in his head, right? He was like, he's never stressed, he says.
Uber positive.
Never stressed. So since stress brings about bad decisions and bad changes and fear, self-talk is just, oh my God. But for him to say that stuff never even enters his head, whether he's leaving it behind or catching him or not catching him, that is something that, obviously sports psychologists, we've all read about them, but that is so beneficial to everybody, no matter what you're pursuing, right? I mean, it's just so beneficial for your mental part of your game to be on point. And I think, guys like Hoyer, guys like Sprangle have it. They've got that.
Confidence is the most important thing in your tackle box, right? I don't know who said it, but probably.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be coining it right now because it works.
Yeah.
So what's this deal? What you were bringing up something about Saskatchewan?
So I just saw it on Facebook, something called Walleye Wars. It was this logo I saw on Facebook, and it said it was in August, and they had a roster, I think, of 24 individuals that were eligible for this $5,000 first prize, winner take all, and it's one big fish. And I'm guessing the way I read it, it was some app that you record this fish. I'm sure it's some sort of catch, record, release type of format. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. How do you, I mean, to try and take a photo of a 30-inch fish yourself laying on a ruler, that seems to me like that would be a challenge. And then if you're with somebody else in your boat, how do you know who caught the fish? So I'm wondering about some of those rules and how that's going to go. But it was interesting. I mean, it's this kind of following in this whole head-to-head type of format, one-on-one, live stuff, app, catch, record, release, that kind of thing. Green Bay Walleye Series is doing a similar thing this weekend where it's a team event, and it's all catch, record, release on that Fish Monkey. Is that right? I think it's a Fish Monkey
Donkey.
Fish Donkey app. Yeah. Not Fish Monkey gloves, Fish Donkey app, right?
But it was, in fact, up in my neighborhood here, Bemidji just had a fundraising app-based tournament, and it was wonderful because there was two young guys that ended up winning the B.A.S.S division out of a small little boat. Because what do you think they did, right? They went back into all these little bodies of water that nobody can get in, and it was multiple days long, right? I think it was 3 days long, and your best 5 or whatever over 3 days. So they fished hard and went from little lake to little lake and put together a massive stringer of fish out of these little ponds, and it just changed the game.
Yeah, well, how cool would that be? I mean, that opens it up to kayak guys and float tube guys and everything else too. I mean, you could get into anywhere and that'd be fun. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
I think you said something, Chad, that really rings true, and we've seen it happen obviously with the Major League Fishing morph, that opened up an opportunity for a lot of different clubs, a lot of different style of anglers, a lot of different species. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to go out and compete, I think that we're in no better time in professional or competitive fishing history than right now, where you're going to be able to find your niche. I covered a couple of the Bassmaster kayak events this year, and you want to talk about a rabid crowd of anglers. I don't think I could put Kevin Van Dam in a kayak next to, Casey Reed. Okay, that's one of the best kayak anglers in the country, and I don't think that you would have a fair comparison, because one is a master of his craft while the other is on his side of things. But I think what we've seen happen is we've been able to, the high school, the college bass fishing, of course, there is an opportunity for anybody, anywhere, literally in the country with a short drive, to find a way to plug into some type of competitive fishing. And I think bass will dominate that across the country. Yeah. But I like to hear that there's walleye guys getting a similar treatment, kayak anglers. I know that some of these fishing clubs and schools nowadays, they're not just limited to bass. Like, you can bring in a big pike and weight. You can, whatever the case may be. What somebody needs to start, though, is like a Great Lakes sheep's head tournament or something, whatever the heck you call those great things. Yeah. Those things are so impressive. And honestly, they're not that ugly, and they fight like crazy. But I think we're in a cool point. Granted, we're dealing with COVID, but I think some of the positives to come out of that is people have been innovative to find ways to make competition still take place on all spectrums. And I think that's a huge boon to the industry right now.
Mark my words. I think by the next time we talk, there'll be more tournaments to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's just my guess. That's just my random guess.
Yeah. Well, and it's really wonderful how, the more opportunities, that's the thing. The high school stuff is just, unbelievably tremendous. Even in our little town of Pillager, we have a fishing team. It's going great guns. This is, I think, their 3rd year now. And they've been fishing. They have a little tournament club for themselves every single week. They get together and do a tournament at a different, lake, and there's a bunch of adult parents that volunteer, and they go out in the boats with the kids, and so there's just so many more I mean, I never had that. We never had that. When we were.
I might have graduated college if I had that.
Yeah. Right.
Tom, is there a B.A.S.S affiliated kind of high school, like, kind of way to get into, like, scholarship programs or something? Is there
there are scholarships now being given out at the college level. As far as the high school level, I mean, that's all, pretty small time based, clubs in those high schools. But yeah, there are a couple schools now that are off. I don't want to speak out of line here, but I think there are 1 or 2 colleges in the country offering full rides.
That's awesome.
So it's really the evolution of the sport has been great. And we've talked about this on here before. The negative side is some of these high school kids are thinking, I need to get sponsored and we need to, talk about the best rods ever made, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's just a matter of growing pains. And I was a high school kid once, and my mouth really hasn't stopped running ever since then. So I know that sometimes they say things at that age, right?
Are we going to have like National Letters of Intent Day for fishermen now? Or
Man, could you imagine? I mean, that would be so cool. I don't think we're quite there yet. We need to get some more colleges to pony up some money to pay kids to come fish. But
might want to try to get.
We're headed there, though.
We might want to get people back to college first, right?
Yeah.
My life would have been easier had I gone and finished college. I went to 3 different schools, and I'm like a second semester junior and still don't have a degree.
I was in the same town that had a college.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What have you guys heard about like the whole license sales? I know a couple rides ago, we talked about license sales were just off the charts. Have you heard any more about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the last thing I heard, it's up 35% across the country, and Minnesota was one of the states that had the highest increase across the country. And I think our biggest challenge is retention, because I guarantee you there's going to be a portion of those 35% nationally that don't come back. Our goal needs to be, and this is every licensed angler out there, the more people we have involved, the better the resource is going to get, the more awareness that comes, the better the opportunities for high school anglers into college, etc. So how do you get people to stay out there? And personally, it's through education. Like we can assume there's a good portion of these people that have bought licenses that are new anglers that are going to quit if they don't get some education. And if I'm going to fix the bumper on my truck, I just go to YouTube and there's 75 videos on how to do that. I think that is a place right now that we've been doing it here at B.A.S., need to be investing more in the beginner's content, because that is going to be our obligation, is to retain these people so that the industry gets stronger. And ironically, we had the 2007 through 9 timeframe, the housing collapse or whatever, and I think the fishing industry was hurt pretty bad by that, especially boats.
Yeah.
But this time around, granted, I don't know I wouldn't say that we're in necessarily a recession. There's some job issues going on, but I think the fishing industry as a whole has stayed pretty strong. And
outdoors in general, Thomas, is rocking, right? All outdoors, and it's adventure sports to fishing to hiking. It's all rocking.
Yeah, it's good. It's interesting right now.
And that's where Chad just got home from. He went on a walkabout throughout the western U.S.
Yeah, we did. We took a little tour out. My daughter graduated this spring, right, from high school, and so we wanted to take her on a little trip, and she wanted to go camping out west. So we were out in Jackson Hole for a few days, and then we were at Rocky Mountain National Park, which I hadn't been to before. Beautiful place. So, but I can report that traffic is not down in any of those places. My word, it was packed. Yeah.
By chance, by chance, did you run into anybody that we might know?
Well, yeah, there were a handful of tourists, and I didn't recognize most.
What a softball question.
Been waiting for this. Come on with it.
There was one that we ran into on the trail one day, and when we were up at a place called Bear Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park, and came around a corner, and there was a group of folks walking, and Ivanka Trump happened to be hiking by us here. This is actually my daughter right here in front of us. And no, they were up there because they had just passed that. I forget the name of the bill, right? The conservation.
The Great Outdoors.
Yeah, the one where it's public land deal or whatever, and so they were having a meeting. Yeah, they were having a meeting on that with some Department of Interior folks, and she was there, and a couple of senators and so on. But then she wanted to spend a day in the park, so they went to a few different spots. But the nice thing about it that I appreciated was the fact that they didn't shut anything down, and nobody knew about it. The only reason I knew about it is we happened to drive in the place right behind the caravan of vehicles. And, you know, so it was like, what the heck's going on? And then they went someplace else. And when we got up to Bear Lake, I stopped the ranger and I said, what's with all the flashing lights? And he said, oh, we got some dignitaries in the park, he says, you know, and then he says, well, one of them is supposed to be Ivanka Trump. And, oh, that's neat. So, but we still didn't know she was going to be up there. And then we were walking the trail around the lake, and there they were. And it was funny because there was a bunch of people there and nobody really knew. And so everybody was kind of quiet. And except for me, of course, I had to pipe up and say, hey, Ivanka, welcome to Bear Lake. So anyway, no, it was kind of neat to see. I like to see that they're out there and not just sitting in DC anyway, you know,
and glad to see everyone was respectful and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, no, she said, hi, how are you? Are you enjoying the park? And you know, so, and then we kept on walking because I can't, and then I saw some pictures later on after she must have come out of there, and there's a huge crowd of people around. That's one thing. I mean, I'm not going to cry any crocodile tears for anybody with a last name Trump, you know. I mean, they got a pretty good gig going, but still, I can't imagine living a life like that. Balla, you must know what it's like.
Yeah.
The paparazzi around you all the time and people.
Please.
Yeah.
All my family moved away. There's nobody around me anymore.
No, but overall, it was a good trip. I don't know if you guys have been to that particular park, but I was impressed. I hadn't been there before, and it's a very nice area. Yeah. Chip, of course, he's a big snow bunny. He's out there all the time skiing down those slopes and everything.
I do like it. I like walking up them. I like skiing down them.
Yeah.
He's got that big, like, baby blue, like, ski suit, like from Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
No, but I will take the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Here's the saddest part. I spent, 2 days is all about in the Jackson Hole area, you know, and then camped right down on the Snake. And then I was in Rocky Mountain National Park. We went to Flaming Gorge for a day, where the largest mutant lake trout in the world live. And I think I threw one Mep spinner about 3 times the whole trip I was out there. So I failed in the fishing department. But when you go with your wife and daughter, you're outnumbered.
Yeah.
Right? There's other things on the list, so, which is fine.
Sacrifices have got to be made.
You bet. Yeah. So no problem. Those silly trout anyway. I got to get back here where real fish are and catch them. I'm gonna get light up Facebook for that comment, I suppose.
Yeah.
We got what's new with anybody else? Thomas, what's going on with you?
Well, I guess it's my turn to give some news. I've been kind of keeping this on the DL for a little while, but it's going to be official.
Balla's been waiting for this for 2 weeks.
My last day at B.A.S.S will be tomorrow.
What?
Don't act like you're crying. You don't care. I took a job within Fisherman, and we'll be moving back to Minnesota to the Brainerd area, and I'll be their new digital editor there. And I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled. I'm really containing it. My inner high school girl is really wanting to come out, just to be home. And this has been almost 5 years to the day, John, I've been here. In fact, I'm leaving permanently on Monday, and that is 7 days before my 5-year anniversary.
Well, I'm happy for him. I'm sad that because I loved knowing somebody on the inside at B.A.S.S. I did. I love the fact that, the northern guy was, it was making a mark down in the southern bass world. So I'm sorry to see you go, I'm happy to go to in Fisherman. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. It's great.
Obviously B.A.S.S. will go out of business now. I mean,
no, they'll survive without me.
You think so?
There's probably a lot more people here happy about it than they should.
Well, who should I listen to on fantasy fishing now?
Nobody. I mean, I'm the only one that knows. I'll still know.
Right.
No, like my wife and I have we committed to coming down here, and it was when the North American Fisherman gig went up in flames. It was real important to me to continue to pursue my career. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and the opportunity came to move down here, and we did it willingly, faithfully. And it came with a lot of sacrifice, and a couple things that have happened over the last 2 years is my father and her father both experienced some health issues, and we weren't able to be there. and her family's in Fargo, my family's in eastern Iowa. So, right now I'm 13 hours from my parents, and we're 23 from hers. So
Right.
there were some things that kind of took place, but Catherine, she's my rock. She always has been. She's like, no, we got to stick this out. We need to see this through. And if the right opportunity comes, it'll be a no-dub moment for us. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm thrilled to do it. I grew up on In Fisherman. In fact, in 1989, my dad bought me an In Fisherman video because we had moved from Wisconsin to Iowa. And I played the wheels off that tape. I mean, I played it over and over and over again. And really, that's where my desire, my passion to be a professional in the outdoor space was born. And to have the opportunity to come back to the organization that I credit my initial passion to, it's a huge honor. But I'll be honest, it wouldn't happen if it weren't for the 5 years that we spent here in Birmingham, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I'm thrilled to be able to move home. It's going to be bittersweet in that we've built some great relationships here. I love the tournament scene. I've always been a tournament junkie, so that's something I'll be stepping away from to an extent, but it's going to be better for my family. And we've actually got a house in the loan process now, the mortgage process. We closed at the end of September, and it's a dream home. Like, I'm going to have a place where there's deer that allegedly walk through the yard, and if they do, they're in huge trouble. But I can't say enough for the people here at B.A.S.S. It's been a tremendous experience, and I'm just excited for what's next.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, as a former in fisherman myself, and then obviously a current resident of the area, I'm excited to have you here, man. I'll send you a list of the best bass lakes.
I bet you will.
I am just stoked for you, Thomas. It's going to be a great opportunity for you. I mean, you at B.A.S.S, obviously you're covering bass. At In Fisherman, you're going to open yourself up to talking about all different types of species in different parts of the world. And you're a fish head, right? I mean, I've known you since the North American days, and you are a true fish head. If it swims, it's got fins, you love to chase it. And I think from your own personal standpoint, this is going to be this is a great opportunity for you to just learn that much more about fishing in general. And that's, and
if you were to ask, I'd tell you I'm a multi-species guy. I really feel that way. And the thing that I've complained about this, my wife will confirm, I haven't been able to musky fish nearly as much as I used to. And that's really my number one passion is in the fishing world, is to chase muskies. And they just don't live down here. So I think over the 5 years I've lived down here, I've caught 6 since I've gone back. So I'm looking to up that number this year alone. So
well, congratulations with that.
I got a picture I got to find for him real quick. Hold on, I'm going to find him one.
Well, there's a lot of musky lakes there. There's a lot of it, and I'm just 45 minutes north of you here in Walker, Minnesota.
Now the guy looks a little different now than he did then, but
look at that big sucker.
That came probably 20 steps from your new office window. So be excited about that. That's a Mississippi
lunch break with muskies. Wow.
52-incher Mississippi River muskie that came. I was looking at it in fish. We were right. It's right there. So get excited, dude. That's what lives right outside your new office.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Brainerd is a new office, Thomas. Is that right?
Yep. We'll be moving. Like I said, me and the kids leave on Monday. My wife has to finish out her 30 days, and so she'll be a week behind us. But yeah, we'll be living right north of all that shopping area there in Brainerd on 371. Is that the right road?
Yes. Yeah.
We're about 2 miles from the heart of that area, so it's perfect. We're through the roof excited.
What's any announcement tomorrow on Bass Live, Zona, height? Anybody? Anything?
No, probably not. You may or may not know this. I'm not really that big of a deal, so they just.
Oh, come on! Yes, you are. They talked about you. They used to go to live to you on the water a few times at a few events. You were out there live.
Well,
Tommy Standard. I mean, you guys had a really good rapport on with the Bass Live crew, I thought.
Oh, I do. I'm going to miss all those guys. It's been fun working with them, and like I say, the relationships we built here, they're long lasting relationships and friendships. So it's just going to be working under a different brand with the same objective. So
And the thing about the fishing business is you just never know where it's going to lead, right? I mean, it just kind of goes around a circle, especially in the media end of things. You're going to be crossing paths with these guys all the time.
Yeah. Well, and this industry is that way. You never know who you're going to be working for or with. And I've always worked really hard to not burn any bridges because you never know who it's going to be with next. And interestingly, one of the guys that I worked with at North American Fishermen is Michael Cassidy. He moved on to a couple different companies in between, and now he works with OSG, and he is now my boss again. So it's important that I would, the advice I'd give to any kid or person that works in the outdoors is, if you get pissed about something, don't burn a bridge. Take a deep breath, step back, look at things. And if you're going to part ways with an organization, don't do it in a way that's going to damage relationships, because even though we're moving to Brainerd, there are probably people working in this very building I may end up working with again down the road. So it's a small industry, and you really don't know where it's going to go. But if you're going to sign up, you're going to commit to doing it. Be ready to take the twists and turns that it's going to offer. I never would have guessed I'd end up in Birmingham, Alabama. And then when I was down here licking my wounds, crying myself to sleep at night, I never thought I'd make it to Brainerd. So you just never know.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. John, you got any fishing plan?
Nope, not in the schedule the next 2 weeks that I know of. I've been gone the last, 3 or 4. So got a few things coming up at St. Croix Rods over the next, couple of weeks, but nothing, no trips planned at this point. Nothing as exciting as Thomas's planned. Maybe after this I'll go to Home Depot, or if I have time, maybe Bed Bath & Beyond, something like that, later today. I don't know, something like that.
It's so good. It touches your lips. Yeah. Good stuff.
Oh, good stuff. We're living in the middle of it. I know that I'm looking forward to getting up to Sault Ste. Marie for the next National Walleye Tour event. John and I are going to connect with the last National Walleye Tour pro, David Kolb, along with David Atkinson, local angler from Sault Ste. Marie, and do a little preview next week on the National Walleye Tour and what to expect when we get back to the getting up to Sault Ste. Marie for the next National Walleye Tour event. John and I are going to connect with.
Who's got the audio on?
With the last feedback there, which I don't know what that's all about. So I'm just going to
watching it. Balla.
I'm not watching it.
I'm just going to say peace out. Have a great day.
It was me. I did it.
Sabotage.
Boy, Chad jumped on me right away.
Wait a minute. What's the title at In Fisherman?
Digital editor. There's something popped up on my Facebook over here, and I thought, well, I'll close that down. And sure enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want to see is what are the more exhibits that are in Thomas's head?
It just rattles around. I mean, it's really long.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, guys. Thank you much. We'll connect again shortly because there's lots going on. Peace out.
Thanks, fellas.
See you guys.
Yeah.